Here we go. Leaving the store here. Reporting with FSD 12.6.1. A little bit of traffic here, so letting folks pass. I want to make sure we are careful there. So everyone is out of our way. We have a speed bump. Oh, kind of respected that. Okay. So I'm gonna go down here. This is a short turn, so I'm hoping clear that, which we did. Come to a stop and proceed to make this left. In the previous video, I highlighted that turn in that corner. It's just something FSD doesn't like. You saw initial, I won't say jerkiness, but some hesitation just building up to that area. So I think that's been deemed as an in progress area there. But nevertheless, we have a drive coming back here. My goal for this video is to highlight some more city to highway transition, some end-to-end highway, and navigating during traffic time. So again, coming to a full stop, have some groceries in the back rolling around. Should have secured that a little bit more. That turn was steep, so a reason for that there, but okay. So getting off the line, we'll do our thing. Eventually, we'll need to get in the left turn lane. Another thing to note, we'll be mindful if we attempt to switch lanes in the intersection. I don't believe in a turn like this we would attempt, but that's something to be watchful for. Hitting some traffic stops. Of course, I'll fast forward through or speed up, I should say, the longer areas here. Have a new Model 3 behind me. Model 3s look very, very good compared to years past. And looking forward to seeing the Model Y in person. That's the first vehicle that that we had that introduced me to Tesla and to FSD. So looking forward to that facelift, and then I don't know. We'll see what they do, or if they do anything with the Model S and Model X. I know the major push now is for Model Y, of course, the Model 3, Cybertruck. So definitely interested to see that. and see what they do. I think, and I've talked about this on a previous video. Model X for me at this point in life makes the most sense. It's it can carry the most people, and it's convenient for small people, kids. Still like the features of the Model X in regards to the automatic doors, like having the automatic doors, Falcon doors. That's gonna be my version, y'all, of a minivan. No knock to the minivans for sure. Minivans are very very resourceful and convenient as well. It's just not my cup of tea. And while the Falcon doors are flashy, they're still useful in getting kids in and out the vehicle, especially in car seats. So definitely useful there. Later on in life, I could definitely see myself looking at a Model S. Like I said, we've had the Y, and it was great for when we had it. We had it for a few years. That was back when it was just myself and my wife. Now that the family's expanded, Y is still a good vehicle. I would tell my wife to get that any day of the week if she wanted, an additional vehicle, or kids grow up, stuff like that. The Y for sure. 3 is great too. 3, I'm bigger than a 3. I'm bigger than a 3. So I have to look at vehicles that can still be useful. If I'm in a 3, it's all the way to the back, and then there's no room for the 2 other passengers. So it's just not my thing, but this segment makes perfect sense. Again, a lot of traffic here. We're prime time right now. What time is it? We are 5 o'clock. So do our best to speed up through all this. All right, back at it. See how we handle this left. Recognizing the island there, great job, as well as the vehicle, this Tacoma to the right. They were driving a little sporadic, so what you do want is for FSD to recognize that and proceed accordingly with caution, but not be jittery as well. Could have noticed that Tacoma coming a little bit over to our lane while we were making a turn, and made a sporadic action, potentially, hitting the curb, hitting that island. So none of that happened. It's just the awareness. The awareness is high compared to builds in the past. And when you think of that awareness, even from a human standpoint, there's so many parameters that, you may not necessarily think of, and FSD is showing, it's with this data that it's collecting, that it's looking at all scenarios, which is good to see. So we came up a little bit, not at the line. I don't mind that, as long as we weren't like a car length behind the line. That was good. Oh, we're at speed. Speed limit out here is 45. We're doing 47. Has some vehicles behind us. One's coming up, but nothing too crazy or out of the norm. As mentioned on previous builds, one of my main gripes was not having this auto offset ability, and FSD just doing a poor job at determining what the speed is relative to traffic or the flow of traffic, which would leave me several miles below the speed limit, and then cars would either pile up or begin to pass and go around me, which again, safety is always important. That's what you want, but you don't want to have to sacrifice the flow of traffic, and if you're going too slow, potentially causing more issues for others around you. So I believe with this latest build, the 12.6, 12.6.1, definite improvements in adding those customizable FSD profiles in order to keep things more realistic, more human-like. Okay, so we are going to have a right turn coming up. For those that are in the area, we'll be passing the Tesla Service Center. One of two now. There's another service center on the opposite side of town that they just opened, and they're working on a third. But this would be the Tesla Center closest to us. And I have an appointment next month for nothing major. They got some wind noise that, they'll take a look at. Trim stuff, general maintenance stuff, nothing nothing too concerning there. Okay, so here we go. Hopping on the tollway, going at a speed is a little high. Get we're in hurry mode, but that's, a little aggressive there. Traffic is thick. So we'll find an entrance point. Looks like one potentially coming up here. Do we take it? Yes. And now we are on the highway officially. So what we'll be on the lookout for as Model Y passes us is how aggressive we are or how assertive we are in making lane changes. That is one of the pieces here when it comes to FSD on the highway, and specifically being able to pick your own mode, which I have hurry mode established. That's the more assertive mode. But what we also want to be on the lookout for is if we're making unnecessary lane changes. Okay, so a couple previous builds passed, specifically 12.5.4.2. I had some lane changes that, sorry, I got distracted by that. Was a Mercedes. The Mercedes, it looks like the bigger Mercedes electric. It's not the EQS. I don't think it is. It looked really good. Yeah, with the previous build, 12.5.4.2, there was some sporadic lane changes. Some of y'all that have used it, depending on your situation, may have experienced. It would go from, left lane to the right lane, and then back to the left lane. And I've had situations where I've missed my turn by it changing lanes so frequently. Phantom braking, disengaging itself, a lot of different things here. There is an emergency vehicle, but there is just the traffic is slammed. So it must be something going on behind us. But regardless, it's 5:23, everybody. So 5:30. This is the type of traffic you expect anyway. So far, so good though. I don't, I think lane change wise, it's doing what it's supposed to. When safety's at the forefront, when safety's first, keeping that in mind, on top of all this traffic, there's really no reason to make too many lane changes. You kind of just, unless you see a path that's safe, kind of just stay where you're at. So the sunset behind us. And for me, I think that's one of the best pieces of FSD in that it's not strictly just a map driven, aspect of, hey, as long as it's mapped, we'll handle it. Because my initial, I won't call it a concern or a worry, but hesitancy is, hey, so much new construction going on. The same street that you went on yesterday may be completely closed, and on top of being closed, they may have dug a hole. So literally you will fall into a ditch, right? And FSD has a great way of recognizing signs, recognizing situations that are out of the norm and not just fully engaging. So again, that's another big game changer. Okay, so we saw a pass, we're taking it there. Getting into the fast lane here. Again, for most folks, you'll find yourself in this situation. And hopefully this helps showing the benefits of where FSD is at and potentially where you can find yourself if you're getting off of work, going to work. Especially the paths you take all the time. I think it's, if you're able to, especially with paths you take all the time, utilize FSD, record the feedback, anything that goes wrong, you can report that through the steering wheel. So it just makes it better for the next person. It's almost like a pay it forward type system. That's how I see it. There's been folks prior to me that have been constantly utilizing FSD, so where when I started, it's better when they started, and I'm sure more folks as time goes on will utilize FSD, and knowing that the work that I put in and others in the area, reporting the same things over and over, whatever the case may be, will make it that much better for everyone else. Okay, so speed limit here is 70. We're doing 74. Right on par with what we'd want to do, along with respecting the flow of traffic. No issues on my end here. Always paying attention to how centered we are within the lane. As I mentioned several times in other videos, my vehicle specific to hardware 3 tends to favor the left of any particular lane, whereas what I'm hearing from hardware 4 vehicles, at times it tends to favor the right. So I say all that to say that you always still have to be prepared to take over. As you can see, there's individuals, construction workers in between these islands. So always want to make sure I don't get too close, be ready to disengage. If you're a first timer to FSD or haven't used it in a while, I definitely don't recommend hurry. It's not, I wouldn't say it's crazy. I think it's just, making sure that you see the changes or you understand the capabilities of FSD on a consistent basis. And once you're comfortable, especially with the paths that you take often, and saying, hey, I've done 10 trips, 0 interventions, essentially meaning I haven't had to disengage FSD or take over, hit the brake, swerve my steering wheel out of the way or yoke out of the way. Then yeah, try it out. And again, for all those that have been looking at the videos, I'm not a chill profile type driver. I think in the past, one of the videos I lied and said I would potentially do a video on chill. I'm definitely not going to do that. I'm definitely not going to do. I have no interest in doing an FSD video in chill mode. That's so far from how I drive. I haven't tried it either, but I just know it's not based on me going from standard to hurry. But I would assume that chill would probably be the mode, especially when we're talking about autonomy and being unsupervised, which is completely fine with me, right? When it comes into me not having to think or worry and letting the vehicle just do its thing, yeah, chill all the way. If I have to get somewhere, if we're late, especially with kids or family, best to believe. Okay, so we're gonna get through this tollway. Again, this is a pretty straightforward drive. I think the things we just want to be mindful of is how we exit the off ramp and in what speed that we do. Being mindful of the work zone. Now that we're in a work zone, what do we do? Right? The work zone is 60, but the flow of traffic is saying something different. These cones to the left of us are saying something different, making sure we pay attention to that. So far, so good. I do want to try another form of self-driving as far as competitors to FSD and Tesla. Our GM Super Cruise is pretty good, at least highway standards and pre-mapped roads. Mercedes is doing some stuff on their end. I know in other countries, obviously Europe, they have level 3 autonomy in certain areas where you can play with your phone, do whatever you need to do without having to look. But for me, at least, even seeing the videos, YouTube stuff online, I'm confident that again, Tesla is, significantly further when it comes to FSD compared to the other vehicle manufacturers. And I think the other big piece to that is the FSD functions and features are more accessible to a wider range of individuals. We talk about Mercedes, the brand, the name, everything. It can be expensive, especially the vehicles that they offer it for. So, it's a smaller audience versus Tesla. You can get a Model 3 in some cases for under $40K. tax incentives, things like that. If you get a used one, you can get one $20K, so I think that's a big difference maker as well. Okay, so coming off the tollway highway, nothing too bad, too crazy. I know we had a little bump coming off, but that's just the road itself. Nothing that FSD did wrong. It handled it like anybody would coming off of that off ramp. So again, when it comes to a highway end-to-end perspective, no issues from my perspective there. Make this left turn. No issues there. Okay. So we do have a merge coming up past this light. We will see how that's being handled. And I would say that's about it. I like to be respectful of everyone's time. Try and keep most videos under 25 minutes for the most part. And for folks that have at least viewed the video this long, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see shorter videos or longer videos. I intend to plan some shorts, YouTube shorts, having just quick 30, 40, 50-second videos of things that pop up or that, I'm amazed by when it comes to an FSD perspective, and highlighting that. And potentially anything else, We hit a U-turn in one of our previous videos. We've been parking. We've been attempting to park consistently on these latest two builds, which really is a version 13 function. So that's always interesting to see. Now coming up, we do have the sun going down, which can produce those sun glares like we were talking about in previous videos. It's always curious to see if that affects FSD enough to have it disengage or have us take over. It has happened to me in the past. Hasn't happened in a while. I think that last time it happened was on 12.5.4.2. So I'll let it play out a little bit longer. Oh, roads are so uneven. Everything kind of bounces around, but not too bad there. Okay. Not too bad. Okay, coming up. This is a very strange, tight area. That vehicle was kind of coming in on our lane, so we paused a bit because we didn't have much to work with either. She's on the phone. What else is new? Skipping past. Yeah, that's gonna be something interesting as well with the technology as FSD becomes more prevalent. One, just in the world, I think, the other creators and folks that are in the FSD community say it often, and that's that I think the majority of the world understands how great of a leap FSD has taken in recent years, but specifically in the past year or so, leaps and bounds. And so, as more time goes on, as things are more refined, I do see a world, especially if, we hit unsupervised, that Tesla would potentially share the technology with other car manufacturers and just be the standard for full self-driving. And, even with the other manufacturers, I definitely encourage, as we come a little bit close to the left-hand turn lane, it almost feels like we wanted to make a left, but tight turn coming up just to see how we handle this. In previous builds, didn't handle it the best. Super wide on that. And so the backstory with that turn in builds past, the first time I took that turn, it almost disengaged. It didn't know what to do. Couple builds, I won't say couple builds, but a couple trips later, it had that turn pretty much solid and pinned down. So, and I believe on 12.6, I made that turn not too long ago, and it was